Hello and welcome to, I think I froze there for a minute. Welcome to Talkin Terramir Veiled Threats Edition. I'm your host, usually Audio Gremlin Charlie. To my, is that going to be the right direction or is that going to be the right direction? Nope, that direction is Mike Dones, who is usually player but was running our last game module, Veiled Threats. We've got down. It's going to be down this way. I got to mirror it. Down here, we got Hannah Nye. A little further, we have our normal GM, current player, Wes Ford. And then all the way to that side is going to be Mr. Justin Kirkwood. So yeah, this is our March 2024 talk show. We're talking about our D&D game. Usually we're playing every Wednesday, every other Wednesday, streaming on Twitch, uploading that to different places afterwards. So if you like what you're hearing here, try and go check out the actual live show. YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Threads, Facebook, all at the handle Tales of Terramir. I think we're also on pretty much all the podcast apps. And if you're listening, watching, seeing us here, give us a like, give us a subscribe, and all that other fun stuff. But let's dive into what was a pretty interesting mini campaign run by Mr. Michael.
We called it a long shot, Charlie. It's not a mini campaign.
We wasn't that long.
Shots, right? Does anyone else call it long shots? We want to know.
No, we never
longer shot.
Never, ever end in one because it's like herding cats usually with our D&D groups.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. No, that was fun. In fact, like I was just saying earlier, and I think I mentioned this to a few of you before, that in retrospect, I probably should have made it like 4 to 6 episodes just to like cover everything that we wanted, or at least that I wanted to get into. And on top of that, there was a bunch of stuff that I had wrote in that you guys skipped.
Which we want to hear about.
Not much. Would you want to hear about it? Oh, yeah. Okay. When we get to the point
when we get to the
points.
When we get to the points.
Yeah, I think we were all under the impression you were going to run it for like 4 or 5 sessions, and then you're like, I only got 3.
I have to cut myself off somewhere because I can get very verbose, and if you let me run, then I'll just keep going. So, I'm excited to get back to our regular campaign. Really, I miss Gemma and our party, so definitely want to get back. Yeah. But it was
grown Gemma.
What was that?
Mostly grown. You miss. I
miss grown Gemma. Right.
Gemma.
It's a good surprise, I hope, during the actual game. But I think this was a good sort of like segue into the next chapter of our regular campaign. We've covered everything that we could do in the Demarian Empire. Now that we're entering career. It was like a little good segue, especially kind of like going back to hit some of the lore points of New Dormar that we may not have necessarily covered, that especially being the Tunnel Liberation and some of our anti-magic sort of sentiments that was happening at the time.
Just a few anti-magic sentiments.
A little some anti-tiefling sentiments too, I think.
Well, it's like too. We started the campaign, we had no idea where it's going to go, and then it turns out, it's going outside of the Empire, right? So
yeah,
there was some stuff that we didn't really get to really fully cover, with New Domar, the capital, and the Tunnel of Liberation, and some other stuff, which was cool to explore before we completely move away.
Great set dressing for the place that you're not going to be back for. Who knows?
Well, it also honestly, one of the main reasons we did it, I talked to Mike, was because I needed some time to not be DMing, to where I could just like write and develop the next area, right? I mean, I had kind of the very vague outlines of what was going on over there, but I needed to start fleshing out towns and
there's
all the other stuff going on.
Volcano and
what's going on there, and just the minutiae of the kingdom, and just the immediate areas that you might come into. So thankfully, having the long shot gave me some time to really just sit down, write, and just like flesh out a bunch of stuff. So really excited to get to that.
You know, when you first came out with the map, I was excited to hit all the other parts of the Demarian Empire. So maybe in the second long shot, we'll just do the roundabout.
Maybe we'll just go back around.
Yeah, we'll go around to all the stuff that we never
just
covered.
fill in all that lore as
yeah,
you go along. But yeah, so that's kind of where we were at there. But yeah, Wes, this was like your first time playing with this group. Well, not with this group, but on stream with these guys. How'd you feel about that?
Yeah. Oh yeah, it was cool. It was really
less
cool.
Stressful.
So much less stressful. I would just watch Mike just like panic breathe before we started to go live.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I get it. I get it.
Don't believe
we're all 10 people.
I'm always cool.
Because it's just like, and any scenario outside of stream and outside of this, you just like when you're DMing, you just want to make sure you have everything right and that you don't forget anything. And of course, you always do every time. So there's a little bit of stress there. So it was nice to just be a player in a world too that that I had kind of created, which was really wild. And Mike, he came to me and was like, what can I do? He didn't want to like impede too much, and I was like, just go wild. I wanted him to just take. I only had just the framing of what was there, and he kind of put in the details and ran wild with that, which was awesome for me because I got to explore some of that lore in there myself, which was really cool.
One thing I did want to say too is that when writing this long shot, Wes, especially this being his own homebrew world, gave me a lot of creative freedom with some of this stuff. Because I mean, when we first started Tales of Terramir and he was talking about this world, I feel like I really understood the whole spirit of what he was going for, and I hope that was really reflected in the long shot. But and then after we had some of the episodes that he's like, oh, I love this and I love this part and everything, and it made me happy that that I actually got what he was going for, and especially for the stuff that we never really had a chance to cover. And so thank you again for giving me sort of like that free rein on that.
That was awesome.
I mean, there were a few things too. I had to message him and like, is this okay? And he was like, yeah, okay, that's fine. I'm like, all right. And it's also that balance where like you're a player in it, so I want to ask you certain things, but not give away like the stuff that you're gonna run into.
Yeah, like how much can you clear with him,
right,
without spoiling it, or how far can the players go with their characters without like spoiling it by going like, oh yeah, we'll be there, or stuff like that.
And watching the playbacks too, I feel that watching some of your expressions, Wes, you were almost it was good to see you surprised in some respects at some of the things that were coming at you. And I was like, okay, great. This is going great. It's going great.
Yeah. I had a blast. So yeah.
We also had two other players that were in the game.
Oh man. Oh, you know what? That's something I really wanted to say too. I wanted to say right off the bat that, man, you guys played your characters so well. I had this like idea for a story in mind, and it was to get from point A to B. But the stuff that I wanted to express in the actual story, you guys just brought so much out of it. And each of your characters just really kind of represented a different part of the story that I wanted to tell. Like, you guys were all so different and just brought this like array of perspective to what I was trying to go for, so thank you, like huge thank you, because I don't think it would have been as good, anywhere near as good, if you guys didn't play the characters how you played them, so thank you.
I was blown away by everyone's character, and I want to.
It's fun.
I have so many questions.
I have so many questions for you guys too. Like, what the hell was that, Justin?
Well, what was it like to play like four different characters? We had all these like ancillary characters in our campaign, And there were some scenes where like they were talking to each other.
Oh yeah,
Mike's famous voice acting abilities.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah,
I thought that was cool.
That was like, oh god. So in this long shot, because it has to have like a certain pacing, that was kind of trying to shove a bunch of exposition in one shot and a sort of a direction, so that you guys would kind of like know what was going on, but then also have the time and information to engage the way that you could. And with three episodes, man, there was just not a lot of time to get everything out that I wanted. But looking back, I could have had more, but I wanted maybe next time, 10 episode long shot, but kind of like putting that out there, when I was rewatching some of the episodes, it kind of felt also that like if you were just another group doing the whole Tunnel Liberation run, these are sort of the things that probably would have happened in front of you. You guys would have just been passengers, also seeing some of these certain things unfold. Of course, this isn't how it would happen every time they tried to ferry people out of the Dumerian Empire.
I think most people would remember their fake IDs.
Right. Which was awesome. But yeah, it was heavy on the narration just because I was really trying to point you guys in a certain direction. Plus when I started writing this, these characters started coming more and more alive and had served a purpose for the greater narrative. So yeah, sorry about that, but also, that's the way it goes.
No, it was nice to see all these different characters and how they interacted with each other. Some of them were like in a romantic relationship. Others were super chummy. You could get the vibe from seeing them interact about what was going on there and how long they had been doing it for as well. Like it's kind of like implied.
Honestly, that was probably one of my favorite aspects of this entire thing, was just how fleshed out the NPCs felt. Like how they all felt like real characters. And after 3 episodes, I was heartbroken to not see them again. It's like, it's been 3 sessions, That's awesome. And it's like, there's little quirks between them. There were like relationships between them. And that was really cool, Mike, because it felt more fleshed out. And that's it felt more immersion, more immersed. So, yeah.
Well, we've had that conversation. Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to add to that and say, like, that's what I meant when the characters were talking to each other. It didn't feel like one person talking to themselves. It felt like,
okay, not like how it sounds in my head.
yeah.
Or just like blank-faced, NPCs, like, oh, they're taking you to this place, and here they are. But they all felt like individual characters.
That's
awesome. Oh no, it is the
Knights. Right.
Who was talking? I don't know. They all have the same accent for some reason, because Mike only knows 2 accents, and that's the one. So, it's funny too, because when we were talking about when we first started the campaign, this whole anti-magic kind of setting of Terramir, I always thought that it was like a hard thing to do, to kind of like project that in a sort of like a game or a world where magic is already kind of established. So with this whole thing with the characters too, it was kind of an effort to try to humanize them, as well as like show what they went through, just so that you would feel something about them going through what they were going through, instead of just saying, oh, okay, well, magic doesn't, it's looked down upon and people hate them. Right. So okay, whatever. But it makes me feel really good that I got the point across. And I liked a lot of those characters, man. When I was writing them, it's really hard to kill them. It was really hard to kill a bunch of them.
Especially that hard. Apparently. Spoiler alerts. Yeah.
What was that?
Not that hard to kill them.
Yeah. Delicious.
Yeah, well, I guess we should say spoilers for everything Veiled Threats. Obviously, here we're going to be talking about everything Veiled Threats. There's going to be spoilers.
Yeah. Go back and watch it. What are you doing?
Go watch it first.
Watch it. Like I said, it's going to be up on the YouTubes and all the other places if you want to watch this later. Ooh, but do give us that follow.
Do it.
But I think we started off this campaign in a tavern, like many D&D campaigns.
As the best ones do.
Yeah.
Best way.
Did Tot start off in a cavern? Or
No, we
tavern?
started off in a jail
Oh,
card.
you started off like Skyrim. That's
We were
right.
already erased. Yeah. Right.
Oh, hello. How are you?
We were locked in
Yes.
with a bunch of strangers. Right.
That was to throw off everyone's expectations. But yeah.
Mm-hmm. No, it's great.
I'd never
But
seen it, so it was amazing.
but we started off at the tavern. Yeah, I think I remember looking back and like when we were first starting, it's like I think just like sort of the nerves of me playing a new character and also just like you doing stuff in this world that I built, and so it's like I'm reeling the entire time, and then that first tavern stuff was a blur, but it was really cool how it played out. I think where Calidor was sort of introduced and then brought into the tavern, and then Tygon's sort of sitting in the corner already, and then Vestel comes down. I thought that character intros were pretty cool.
Oh,
Yeah, saying that, we should probably cover who was playing who in this game, because it's not our usual mishmash of characters. So do character introductions.
I guess since I was just
the
talking,
stream.
yeah, I played Calidor, Tricksilver, half elf wizard. Yeah, half elf wizard. I don't know if there's some more detail you wanted there.
Yeah, Hannah, Justin.
I played Vestel. I don't remember her last name right now.
Chalfax. Vestel Chalfax.
There we go.
Chalfax.
Vestel Chalfax. I was a human light cleric. Noble human light cleric.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, noble. I mean, racist, but
Well,
maybe
I mean,
throw that one in there
she was
too.
kind of right in the end. So.
Ooh, yeah. You can't blame her at the end.
The warm up to the first stream, Hannah just very quietly went, "Hey, is it all right if my character's a little racist?"
She did not. Did she really? No. I think I told her that tieflings were not looked down upon. What did you tell me, Wes? You were saying that they were uncommon,
Minority?
and they were.
I said they were uncommon, but they were looked down upon because of their infernal blood.
Right. Okay. Especially by clerics. Right. Okay.
Right. Yeah.
So good RP. How about good RP, Hannah? You know what I mean? No, like, oh my God, you're
Sorry,
so
I'm still half in character. Sorry. My character was a tiefling with infernal blood, named Tygon O'Pond.
Dirty.
And he was a bard with a singing bowl that he used exactly one time in the game.
And basically just a troll.
And what was his subclass? What was his subclass?
Oh yeah, great. It was
It was a cool
College of Whispers, wasn't it?
College of Whispers.
Yeah, it was College of Whispers. Yeah, that's right.
God, I
That's
wish
a
I
dark
gave
one.
you more opportunities to use some of your stuff. That's something I should look on next time.
Well,
But
it was a handful. This is my first time playing a magic user of any kind, so that was it was just enough complexity for me to be able to handle and not completely ruin the game.
well, you did fuck me up a couple times. That heat metal, that was great.
That's
Heat
a
metal
bust
was
out.
great.
Like forgetting heat metal and not being in a setting where we GM'd a game where someone had that, and Wes was just like, "No, they're also Haggans. They just have wet mush armor."
No, I know, but unfortunately, I had to throw Demarian Knights and Guards at you guys.
Yeah, guys with actual armor on them.
Yeah.
What level were you guys playing at?
5.
Curiosity.
5?
He at the last minute too. Mike had decided to change us to level 5. We were level 4, and he was like, "You know what? Just be level 5." And I was like, "Oh, third level spells, cool."
Yeah.
And so that was great.
That was probably a mistake, but I own it, so that's fine. I
Hey,
think that was a
really fun
that was a
for us.
combination of wanting you guys to have fun with your abilities, and also I thought I might have killed you. I might almost kill you during it, but clearly that wasn't that wasn't the case. You guys did really awesome. You guys worked really well as a team. So Fireball, and Hannah had Fireball, which was totally unexpected.
That was the dope.
Hannah being the one to cast Fireball.
I didn't realize clerics could get that, but it was like clerics. So, yeah,
like clerics are awesome.
They're fun.
Yeah,
pretty good.
But we did the tavern introduction, and then you guys it might be one of the first encounters, but your encounters just trying to get into the cart and leave the city was such a glorious mess of a mainly due to Justin. Was that willful ignorance, or did you just legitimately not look at the sheet, Justin?
Honestly,
I didn't realize it was.
Go ahead. Sorry.
I didn't know the documents were going to be taken away. I didn't even know that was like a mechanic that could happen. So I was looking for it, desperately looking for it, trying to like.
I had a 1 in 3 chance that was going to work. I was like, you know what? Some people might still have it up. Some people might just close it to like read it. Okay, yeah, great. Alias, whatever. Like you did.
Or just
exactly what you did.
I just had mine open.
Exactly.
Open. So when you took them away, the window was still open, so it didn't go away for I think Hannah and I.
Yeah.
And then like there was that realization where everyone was like, "Oh, they took it away." That was clever.
I even reinforced it too right before. Star was like, "You guys fucking read your documents because they're gonna ask for them." And Justin, man,
he's like, "I'll look at them later."
Yeah, it's like whatever. Abra fucking cadabra, right?
Who needs an alias? I got prestidigitation.
Oh man, that worked out so well, and I thought it was like so appropriate for your character too, especially when you started talking back to you're like, well,
what's your name?
Yeah, you can read, can't you? It's like, all right, you're randomly.
Everyone's beneath Tygon in his own eyes. Yes.
I'm glad that worked out.
I just want to get into the heart of Tygon. Just
you want to
dig in there. I want to just like talk to Justin in character as like as a therapist and just like tear that apart and see what's going on there. There's a lot.
Well, there will probably be an autopsy if you want to get into his heart.
True. Maybe I'll come back.
One thing I did want to say about the main gate too was I tried to set it up in a way because when I was writing it, I wasn't exactly sure what or how your characters were going to be. So when I started writing all the little scenes that were happening around them, I had this idea of trying to actually bait you guys into doing something stupid, to like wanting to save the kid or saving the old woman that was getting pulled aside, or like, oh man, we're level 5 and we can have all these abilities. Maybe I'll just try to, cast something here to fuck up the guards or whatever. But it didn't work. You guys were actually a little like, well, it got messed up in another way, but you guys were actually trying still to get out regardless. So it didn't work. The trap didn't work, but another one did.
None of you cared.
Yeah, like, okay, well,
we got to get out of here.
Like, you got to go.
Now, canon-wise, was that an elaborate setup by the guards to trap well-meaning magic users?
As far as the checkpoint?
Yeah, or were they just actually assholes?
It was a little bit of both. I mean, I think I had even mentioned that a checkpoint would, and that was kind of like one of the reasons that it was so busy, is that people were trying to get out. So the people who were the most desperate would probably be the ones that were guilty, of being magic users or arcanists. So it gave them a way to sort of vet who was coming in and out of the Domarian. What is it called? New Domar.
Affiliation.
Yeah. Again, a lot of stuff going on, but the main point was this wasn't usually as turbulent as it normally is. They can just show fake IDs without getting harassed. You may have started getting harassed though, just because you were a tiefling, but
right.
I think overall you guys played it really well, and it worked out. It worked out just as well. I think. One of my favorite parts, though, is all of the crap you guys casted as you were leaving. it was invisibility, darkness, and then calm emotions where the dudes were getting run over while they were just like sitting there.
This is fine.
This is fine.
Car going over.
It's good stuff, man. Good stuff.
Which led into an actual cart chase.
Before we get too far away from it, though, because we had it written down. But what was I want to know what everyone's opinions, I guess, of the other players' opinions were, initial opinions of everyone's characters. And then we'll maybe come back to that at the end of what was your ending opinion of every character.
It's a good idea.
Is that in character or is like as a player?
I guess both. Like you as a player, and what did your character think of each? When you first saw them.
Gotcha. I guess I'll go first since I asked.
Okay.
Vestel thought that, I mean, obviously she was racist against Justin's character. And then for both of you, she hasn't really dealt with people like you guys as much. So she was just kind of being the noble that she is, looking down on everybody.
Yeah.
Really didn't want to associate with the both of them.
Right.
Yeah.
I think Calidor... I think initially Calidor was like, thought Tygon was really cool. Like he was like, oh, this is he has nothing against tieflings. He's like, oh, this guy's in like nice outfit. I'm poor. This guy kind of knows what he's doing. Maybe I can learn from him. Maybe we can be friends. And that changed. We'll get into that. But also kind of thought down on Vestel, of course, because priestess of Tytar usually don't like people like Calidor is, so was just untrustworthy at first, but giving you the benefit of the doubt, sort of where I was at.
I thought as Justin, that Calidor looked really cool. Like he looked like maybe he had some sort of, he just looked haunted, just the avatar and the way he was kind of sitting off to himself. I was like, oh, what's this guy's story? And then as soon as I saw Vestel, I was like, oh, she looks rich. I can use her. I started thinking like Tygon.
What's happening? I'm getting into character.
How can I get into that?
I can use her.
Yeah.
I wanted to say too that when we were talking about character ideas, it really made me happy that Hannah wanted to play a cleric because of that contention that was going to happen within the party, not just because it was like clerics versus magic users, but then you told me, Wes, that oh, clerics don't like tieflings, and I'm like, yes, this is going to be so awesome. They're going to just fight, and you guys didn't disappoint. But again, also the fact that she played a cleric also showed another side of what was happening and how it like just affects not only magic users but other, everything is connected. It's
because originally you were telling us like, let's just everyone be a spellcaster, right? Because we wanted us to be on the run, and that was a cool twist too, I think, for all of us, because it was like she is technically a spellcaster, but not arcane, and she has some kind of she has a device we'll get to later, but like she has something that she needs to get smuggled out, and she's forced to be with these people. I thought that was a really cool dynamic.
Absolutely.
A regular old Shadowheart.
There's also that also brings up a good point too about how there is an acceptable lookout on divine magic in the Empire, but not arcane magic. So why for that? What is this bigger story behind that? And I think hopefully we'll be able to find out in the regular campaign, because I'm pretty interested.
Gonna kill the Pope.
Well, it's that there's a lot of history. We don't have to get into all of it now, but like just the arcane magic is something that can be pulled from just the fabric, right? The fabric of the universe, and anyone can use it, while divine magic is pulled from the gods. The gods empower those people to use that magic. So that's sort of that difference and fear, the fear that anyone can pull from the weave and from the fabric of the universe. We should stop that. We should not allow people to do that. Only by the God's will should we allow that to happen. So that's sort of where it started.
Right on. Will definitely help during the sort of like the story, the narrative, as far as having that contention between clerics and arcane users.
I just assumed at some point in the past, some emperor got their feelings hurt by an arcane magic user. And that's where this all started. It's
You're
always
not wrong.
feeling.
You're not wrong.
Is it the Battle of Spell and Blade?
No,
Rude
it wasn't.
tiefling.
It was it was the destined heroes. It was the the heroes of old wronged the emperor, and that's where it's burnt. That's where it all came from.
Ask those questions as Anton, okay? When we get back into the game, you're like, why the hell?
Yeah,
I need a history book.
But that's a whole other thing. Now we're getting into a whole other kingdom with its own problems and issues.
Yeah. Oh, good.
But before that, we had a
little
car chase.
glimpse of some lore there. That's good.
Yeah.
Teaser.
Yeah, I feel like we can give some closure there a little bit, since at least the main campaign is mostly leaving that behind. Not completely, still part of the world, but there's, we're not going to be steeped or restricted by that stuff. So.
Do all my long shots have to be walking behind your campaign and picking up all the shit, the lore that we dropped, just do a long shot. I mean, it can it'll just be long.
Hopefully not.
You were saying what, Charlie, about
well, we can get a bit more back into recapping. But,
let's get back
because we went into the car chase right after the gate checkpoint. Well, cart chase with the horses and everything. And that was a pretty fun little set piece you guys had, where you were just kind of sniping dudes off horses and stuff.
Oh man, it was supposed to be a lot more elaborate, but at a certain point, it was just like, okay, well, we're just gonna crash the cart here, and you guys can defend yourself. You guys did really well. Did a lot better than I had planned for, actually. And I don't know, you just had a really good combination of effects that were happening.
There's like so many moments and all of the stuff that honestly that all of us do with this campaign and outside, but like especially like that battle, like I would love to see play out cinematically, just like having everyone fall out of the car, and then we're like getting covered behind the car, and then like shooting spells behind it, and like
the city was on fire behind us. Like in the background, there's like a conflagration. Like it was an epic set piece.
Yeah,
You'll basically burn down the city as you left.
Just the front. It wasn't you guys.
Just the whole city. Let's not get down.
Just most of it.
That was one thing I did want to do. Just scooting back just a little bit, as I wanted there to be some like just crazy display of why everyone fears, just another excuse for everyone to fear magic, so that when we get into more of the character stuff, you can actually see that sometimes it's not everybody's fault. It's, there are people who choose to do it, there are people who choose not to use their magic, and it's not a black and white issue. And something as simple as a kid being separated from his family is enough to trigger something as devastating as that.
They just don't have enough good public schools.
They don't have any public schools. I don't know. I don't know how it works in the Empire. I didn't get that deep into the lore.
Yeah, what's the school system look like?
Well, really, I don't know. There's a form of public education. I haven't gone too deep.
It's based on Montessori.
I thought I wanted to put the wagon chase in there too. It was, I thought, a pretty good kind of end to what the episode's called The Final Flight. This is, and you guys didn't know it at the time, but you were involved in probably what was the last sort of migration of casters out of New Domar, because after, towards the end, that's it kind of effectively stops. But you guys are being chased by all of these people. There's this, like you said, there's this castle or this city on fire behind you. So I think it maybe put a good touch to that whole scene.
We were the last ones through the tunnel of liberation.
Pretty much, yeah. And you guys probably didn't even know yet, and I don't think that Hannah even knew it at that point, that Vestel, it almost being with these people sort of sealed her fate. You were just following your God, and up until a point, there was just this thing that happened, and now it was no longer in your hands. You're just not able to ever return home because you are you're in flight with these casters, and you also committed a lot of felonies by caster. Killed a bunch of knights too. And even when you guys knocked the one out, it was great because you still showed that compassion, and not just like, okay, well, we need to kill them for the reasons that Tygon and Kalidor wanted to, which were very real reasons to eliminate him. But just showing that other side, I think, was, again, just, man, I love the way that your characters interacted with each other. Really, really helped. It would have been a lot flatter of a narrative if it wasn't for you guys.
No, thanks.
Well, that's fun. True. It's true for like even later on into like the second and third episodes. Just a lot of what I wrote was based off of what you guys had done in that previous episode too. So, and we'll get to that.
We're basically right there, aren't we?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, because episode 2 started with you guys kind of just picking up the carriage and continuing on down the road.
Yeah,
that's right. Yeah,
on the road.
You need to get to Bima's house.
Yeah.
Grandma Mina.
Grandma Mia.
Long trip on that hurt all of our butts, right? On the carts.
Your ass is sore, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, no magic fixes an old school carriage.
No, he's still sitting under a blanket or something. I don't know. But, I imagine that traveling in D&D is very, very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why we skip it and don't RP it half the time.
It's honestly something I've never really thought that deeply into, but you saying like, oh yeah, your butts are, your butts are probably sore from riding on the carts. It's like, it's true.
I remember asking you, I was like, how far is it from New Domar to Halcyon? And you're like, oh, it's like 6-7 days. I'm like, holy shit, that is a long time, dude.
You guys were on the road for a good while.
You're muted, Justin.
You asked me, and I actually had to map it
Calculate,
out.
Yeah.
I had to rule
the scale.
Calculate it. Yeah, I had to scale it out and like, well, that's this many miles and well, about this many travel a day.
Because in the campaign proper, we like started on the way to Oaktown, right? So we were like halfway between Halcyon and Oaktown already.
You were basically just outside Maple Cross.
Yeah, you were kind of like up here.
Yeah.
And this was like way down here.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
Yeah.
You guys are closer to other places.
So
if only we could bring up a map, but I don't think we have that set up today.
Grandma Mina, I don't know if you guys had realized it before, but Gemma has mentioned her a few times too. And I thought it was almost appropriate to have her show up. She had mentioned it in the context that she basically grew up with her grandma and Taryn and her sister after her parents had passed away. Those were her support system on the farm because she didn't have parents. Did you guys love Mina? Because I loved Mina.
Oh man, Mina,
I love
want to live there.
She's adorable.
Let's just not leave the kingdom and just live here.
Yeah. Just stay with Nona.
If you guys loved her so much, you shouldn't have stolen from her.
It was just a shroud.
If only she existed, only she was all of our real grandmothers.
Uh-huh.
I'm about to make you guys really sad because if you realize the timeline, Mina had only lived probably 10 or 12 more years after the.
Oh, she dead? In like the actual timeline?
Yeah, she was a spry 60.
No.
Well, do you all?
Rise 16.
I know Mike and I know, but do you all know the actual timeline where this technically takes place since it was brought up?
Yeah,
Gemma's like
what,
16, right? So it was like
Be
14.
13 years ago.
It's like
It's
12,
10.
10
We
or 12 years
marked
ago.
it as 10. We marked it as 10.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
That
so-
makes Gemma really young.
Yeah,
Was it-
Gemma was like
was it-
3, right? In this,
Well, hold on. Was it
Red
less
Threats?
or was it more than?
It was like 10 or 12 ish. You know,
Well, that's important.
I put Gemma at like 16 because if Dana was like 10 ish, then she would be 21, 23 ish in the present timeline. It's trying to nail down that timeline is a little bit difficult. But I mean, we can solidify that at some point. But it's ballpark, you know. But
we'll need to add it to the wiki.
10 or 12. 10 or 12.
point is, Grandma Mina's dead. Guys.
Why? No.
There's
Is
all
she
the
though? Is
fantasy
she
land.
for real?
She's
Do we know?
No, she is. I mean,
No.
because
no
Gemma had mentioned. I'm sorry, Hannah. I'm sorry. I had to bring it to you.
We don't want to hear this.
I know. She's like, no, she's alive. I know it.
We will
No.
find her and we will bring her back.
She's in Korea.
She's in career.
We're gonna pull Legend of Korra like they did with Uncle Iroh and bring Grandma Mina back in the spirit realm.
If you guys want to
She's gonna
spirit
climb
realm
over the
stuff,
side of the
then that'd
ship.
be great. No, if you guys want to spirit realm her, then she's fine. That's cool because, but Gemma, I believe, has mentioned that after her grandma passed away, it was just her and Dana and Taryn, and that's that's it.
At least she didn't die in a fire or get run through by an orc's sword or
We
something.
haven't gotten
She's
to
died
that
happily in her sleep.
Let me write that long shot. Now that's gonna happen. She's gonna die in the most tragic way ever.
We
Oh,
kill her.
oh yeah.
We have to.
Zombie Taiga.
You killed her. You guys led the Demirian Empire right to her.
There's some back convoluted story where she somehow got turned into a Kuatoa, and that was one of the Kuatoas
no.
they killed.
No,
Don't you dare.
Anton.
Oh my gosh.
Anton's like slashed the throat of Grandma Mina.
I loved the part with Grandma Mina. It was sort of a segue into the awful part at the end. Really, for me, it was like I said, Gemma alluded to her before, and I wanted you guys to sort of let your guards down a little bit. I wanted you guys to be comfortable, and once again, humanize magic users, so that when we really push the fact that people hate magic users, it becomes a little bit more tragic.
And it benefited Vestel too, right? Like it made sense for the story for her to sympathize a little bit more with magic users, right? And
Absolutely.
be like, they're not all monsters. And yeah.
Oh yeah, no. Made her, what did I call her? Extremely affable.
Yeah.
She was
It-
able to heat up
Clean and
her
articulate.
water.
yeah.
Yeah.
Just
Like, oh, magic
Just
is
doing the
useful.
basics.
yeah. And I also liked it because it also showed some of these other characters, the NPCs that you were traveling with, someone who was a serious and no nonsense and all business Star, and Rebel, who was just this seedy dude. She was just a source of comfort for them and made them loosen up a little bit too. And I hope that helped you guys to sort of drop your guard and feel the same things that they were. You guys were in a safe place. You had just left the kingdom or the empires, the New Domar, excuse me, traveling. This is a good segue into what is going to happen next. And then also introducing Asher and the prophetic visions. That's the thing I wanted to say. The visions that sort of also pointed Vestel towards the direction that she needed to go to, or at least consider some of the things that she was destined for.
I will say Wes has been pretty good about doing a lot of good food moments in the mainstream campaign, but off the top of my head, I don't remember Grandma Mina making a nice home-cooked granny meal for them.
They approached and they could smell the meal going on, and she was trying to force it on them and pack them all cooked goods and stuff like that. I mean, I can
There's
make
juice.
my narrative longer. There was juice,
Yeah.
chilled juice.
There's juice.
There was
But I
juice.
don't know what she made.
Yeah.
There was some fresh bread and stuff that was mentioned.
Yeah.
Wrapped up, but-
It was more about making you guys comfortable and drinking the wines and the juices and all that. And then once again, also hinting at, oh, the girls are around here somewhere, not anything specific, but and I think I did name drop Dana at some point. Oh, I sent Dana to go find her sister, but I don't
Did
know
you?
where they are. Yeah.
I don't know if you actually did. Oh, really?
Ah,
I
good.
remember
Yeah,
that.
in the dialogue.
I didn't
Yes.
catch it the first
I
time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I know you said girls, but I didn't know that you.
No, I
got
said
Dana.
Shows
Like-
how much you guys are paying attention.
when Star was asking, where are the girls? Oh, I sent Dana to go look for her sister. If you didn't see them with Asher, then they're probably in the Golden Thicket, which
Okay.
yeah, it was I hope I delivered it. That's how I wanted to deliver it, so casual that you might have just like not even heard it, so that it was in sort of a passing again, sort of an Easter egg thing, and then of course you guys find out about it later.
Nice.
For me too, it was a little self-serving because the whole line with finding them in the Golden Thicket, that was kind of part of Gemma's backstory too, is that she would often spend time in the Golden Thicket when she was kind of goofing off or not wanting to do her work around the farm or whatever. She would walk around this magical forest and just play and hang out, and because it was right there.
So if Gemma grew up with her grandma, and maybe you'll reveal this later, but she didn't really grow up with magic, right? So did, like, after this occurrence where her parents died, did Grandma Mina just kind of like cut off magic from
It's a good
the
question.
girls?
It was sort of a safety measure, and I think that maybe in a way Grandma Mina would also sense that it just maybe wouldn't be safe for to be open with magic anymore because of what happened to Kara and Gideon and the whole tunnel liberation. She was fortunately too young to remember any of that stuff. Not Dana though, which she did bring up, but
Right.
and that was another curious thing because writing Gemma's backstory was almost like writing Dana's backstory as well, and this is very apparent in the end of episode 2. But to answer your question, yeah, I think that she maybe didn't want to reveal the whole magical thing, or maybe even kind of suppressed her use of it. There was a part of her backstory where I wanted to write in that anytime Gemma would have done something magical, it would have just been kind of written off like, oh, that was just something like in your imagination, or don't do that sort of thing. And so she wouldn't actually exercise it. Yeah.
She would have had to instill that into her for it to make sense for Gemma, right? Because we see in the main campaign where she's like, she doesn't even want to fully accept that she has these powers, and she, like, even in the beginning, like, you're using like your axe instead of doing your cantrips.
Absolutely, yeah.
Like just showing that like you were trying to resort, but like maybe I can't really rely on this magic yet, so that had to have come into play. That's good. That's a good question.
It's almost safer that she didn't know that she could do magic, but maybe her destiny later on reveals, maybe it comes into play later. But that is a really good question, actually, because obviously everybody in her family was magic. So, except for Dana, curious, very curious. Or is she?
Step sibling.
Or is she?
Yeah.
Or is she?
Yeah. They both have the same hair color, right? I'm assuming her grandma Mina is also a Azimar as well.
We'll just have to find out. I don't know. I don't know.
But yeah, we've been alluding to it a lot, but yeah, you guys have Grandma Mina's and basically got to another tavern and then met Gemma's parents.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I hope we meet Willa's parents at some point and find like the source. Just go straight to the source of all the Willa-isms.
Do you want me to write another
that'd be-
prequel? I'll do a prequel.
That'd be great. Yeah, you do that.
With all the parents. Preferably.
Everybody, parents'
Yeah.
night.
They were actually all friends at some point.
Oh no, they were the original
Anton's
Terramir
parents.
party. Oh my God.
Snape was there.
Snape was there. Oh, no. Oh my God. Crazy. That's gonna be a complicated
hilarious.
one.
Wow, what a story.
Yeah, you meet Gemma's parent, or you meet Gideon
Simon
and
Mills'
Sarah.
parents.
Yeah, who were the sort of people leading the tunnel liberation coming out of New Domar. They were definitely one of the checkpoints, or one of the checkpoints out of the city, and then leading you. The original intention was to lead you somewhere else. I believe they had stated it to Redguard. You guys were on your way to Redguard at that time. So you met her and him, and you also met Taryn, who was the person that was taking care of Gemma after her parents died, or helping to take care of, like sort of like on the farm and stuff.
Yeah, that reveal of her parents was pretty epic. And then
Oh, cool.
then you showed, I think you you introduced the girls technically when they were hiding in the barrels and everything. that was a big surprise moment for me. I had no idea that was coming. So
Oh, cool.
that was great.
And then
Did
they
I
wrapped
surprise
her in the
everyone?
shawl.
Oh,
That was cool.
Kara's cloak.
Mhm.
The
Yeah.
cloak was a cool moment
Oh
because it's like
man,
that's the same cloak. Ah!
I know. I was like, oh God, break my heart. That's cool.
Did you
I'm glad
guys get
catch
that was like Gideon and Kara? Did you get that was Gemma's? I know because I have used them in the stuff and knew their names, but like, did you know, hearing those names, did you know right away that those were Gemma's parents?
Not until Gemma officially was revealed
Yeah.
Okay.
did I put any of it together. Like even the red hair and everything, it went right over my head.
Right. Yeah.
That's good.
Interesting.
That's good.
Yeah,
Well,
no.
no, I mean because it's a small but obvious detail, and unless you
Yeah.
really, really knew what was going on, it would be easy to miss. I feel like
Yeah.
because you focus on something else.
Sitting in the background, I was like, oh, Mike's doing this. Oh, there they are.
But it was also that
just
moment.
listening to the streams and stuff.
I wanted to. I think up until then, and I told Wes, I'm like, don't tell them when this is going to be, because it was also the moment where you could just realize that, oh my God, we're in a prequel. This is not actually happening in the same timeline.
Yeah.
Where we're back several X years later. 10 to 12 years later, apparently. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
What
so we watched
were
it.
your? I want to know actually from Hannah and Justin. What were your expectations of? Did you have any expectations at all of when this might be taking place? Did you assume it was the same time as our main campaign, or like when it started?
I kind of suspected it would be a prequel. I don't know
Okay.
why, but I thought like there may be a chance, but I had no idea where we
You
were in
didn't know.
time until that moment. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, same here. I had the same suspicions. I feel like maybe someone had mentioned it when we were talking about doing this,
Hmm.
doing Failed Threats. Did someone say like, "Hey, this is going to be a prequel"? For some reason, that was in my head.
I feel
I
like
don't
Wes said
think
that at some
so.
point.
No, because Mike and I talked about we wanted that to be a secret, so I don't think I
Oh.
said that.
Maybe. Yeah.
I thought I had, but I'm in the tech chats and stuff like that, so I probably just got more information.
You guys are
Right.
just so smart. You guys think you're so smart.
Well, why would we do something after that? We would have to make sure that.
Well,
Right.
it's not hard to also kind of place it, because we had already talked about how the tunnel liberation had already been defunct by the time, or the years
It kind of just
before.
felt sort of
also.
like a prequel because of those details. Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
again, these obvious things that aren't really obvious unless you're really invested in sort of the lore that's going on in the story.
Yeah. Have you all been paying attention to every single minute of our
Every
hours
little
and
bit.
hours and hours of
I've read
gameplay?
only like 2 of the documents that Wes has written.
This is 10 pages of
Great.
lore.
Yeah,
Great.
great. I wanted to be
We
surprised.
wrote a whole prequel script.
Yeah.
Talking about prequels, this has been a prequel to the second half of our stream, which will be back in the next 5 minutes. If you're liking what you're seeing, give us a follow. Check us out on the YouTubes and any social medias at the handle Tales of Terramir. And we'll be back. Oh, hey, didn't see you there. Welcome to Talkin' Terramir, Veiled Threats Edition.
So stupid.
Dumbest biscuit, Mike. If you ever see him chuckle, it's because I sent him some dumbass gift during a campaign.
It's true. It's true.
But yeah, tonight we're just recapping Mike's long shot, 1 shot, 3 shot, whatever we want to call it. Probably could have been 10 shot. We left off with the recapping how the party got to the Ashen Lights Tavern, and we're actually meeting the tiny versions of Mike's character and her sister from the main campaign.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gemma and Dana.
Gemma and Dana. The big reveals.
That was a more Easter eggy part too. I mean, they didn't even need to be where they were, but I thought it was also, like I said before, a good kind of an indication of where we were in the timeline from the regular campaign.
In a way, they had to be though too, because Gemma's backstory and
right, yeah, true. Oh yeah, that's right.
With the parents, yeah, they kind of, yeah. Which
But
I
was
guess
that the...
we can
Go
get
ahead.
to that. I guess we can go right into that whole
So
thing.
We can go to that, or we can talk about the bigger reveal of Vestel having a mystical artifact.
Yeah, let's talk about that. That's
Yeah.
important.
So we had alluded originally at their first tavern, the Tavern of the Blue Duck, that she was.
Is that the name of it?
Special case. Yeah, so the Blue Duck is a thing for me. So
good to know.
That's like an old school tavern name.
Mike's
no,
Pixar
it's because I've never seen a blue duck before, so I drew a blue duck like Billy Mass.
Fun history fact, old pubs are called things like that because people couldn't read and they just put crap like that above the doors, and that would be like, oh, that's the white horse.
Right. So
It's the blue duck.
This is the blue duck. I don't remember what their tavern is called. But anyway, we had alluded to her being sort of a special case when Rebel was very insistent on not having Vestel with their travel group. And this, of course, was that special case. Her taking this thing out of the Empire. Because clearly she's not an arcane user, so she needed a reason to be traveling with you guys in the first place.
Right. Yeah, she got interrogated by Star and everything from the get-go.
Can we learn more about that now? Like Vestel getting the artifacts?
Yeah, go for it, Hannah.
I mean,
Yeah, it's not a huge story, but
Mike told me to add it to my sheet.
oh. No, yeah, so she's a cleric, she's noble born, and she'd been working at whatever what is it called? It's not a chapel. They call it temple. Yeah, the temple. Where her parents grew up and her parents' grew up. So she's very familiar with the temple. And then one day she gets a vision from Tytar telling her to go into a secret place of the temple. And that's where she found the artifact. And of course, Tytar tells her to take it and leave. Like that's in a nutshell.
nice. And did you know much about the artifacts? I guess you knew some of its powers and stuff because you used it later. But you as the player, did you know what it was or its capabilities, or did that come later in the session 3 or something?
Yeah, I knew that. Mike shared it with me, and then Vestel, Tytar told her to attune to it. I think that's why she had attuned to it at some point. She didn't really want to do that, but yeah, she had attuned to it.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So she knew how it worked.
Everyone's laughing at Mike's mug.
Stupid mug.
Sorry, Mike's mugs get me every single shriek.
I have to share this. My wife
He's
has
got a lot of
Yeah.
good ones. He's
This
got a
is Nick Cage on the toilet from Mandy when he after. Oh, I can't.
It's going
Yeah,
out.
it's just gonna keep. Yeah, there you
Oh, there
go.
you go. There you go.
In the scene.
So good in the scene. This is
In
the
the
best scene
scene.
in Mandy too.
The
Yeah.
best scene, yeah.
Next
When Nick
Cheddar
Cage
Goblin.
goes full
Yes.
Nick Cage in that movie. So excellent. I did want to say too that I shared stuff with Hannah on the artifact, but also left a few things intentionally vague because I think it also helped play out to, you know, Vistel not being familiar with arcane magic and not wanting to even have anything to do with it too. And man, Hannah, you played it so well also. And just having this thing that you weren't even supposed to have, but you were so devoted to your god that you were so set on your mission, and it's everything that drove your character to go through the things that she did. So well done.
Yeah.
Thanks. Yeah, it worked out pretty easily. And as for me, like as for me as Hannah, I didn't memorize everything about the artifact as well. So the fact that she didn't use it also worked out in my favor.
Mhm.
I just had to kind of like recap what it did towards the end. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was cool that it was used at the end. We'll get to that
Mhm.
later, but yeah, it's cool that it came in the end. But
We had the artifact, we had the little sisters, and then it all kind of just started popping off. Did you guys even have a night at the tavern before it popped off?
You were supposed to have a night, but then that's when Gideon's mystical alarms went off and, you know, signaled everyone that something was coming, and that's when you guys had to escape.
so I think you had planned on us fighting there, right? That's why we had the temp HP and all that stuff. But
That's exactly right.
There
You guys
was so much
skipped,
going on.
you skipped a fight. You skipped a big fight. Well, it was
we just
kind
hid.
of a big
We just
fight.
hid in the woods like cowards and watched
No.
everyone.
Well,
get
I mean,
slaughtered.
that was gonna happen anyways.
not-
If that makes you feel better.
I'm-
They were destined to die.
Yeah, I'm confused. Like we there's no way we could have saved him. So
No,
it would have
but
been a
the-
losing battle.
the initial wave of them that were gonna come, you know, you would be able to say that, hey, we got to fight with the Tunnel of Liberation or not. But you know, that was one thing that I didn't even consider, is that
Cheered
being
him on.
emphatic for you guys to be like, hey, you guys have to leave, that you guys would actually fucking do it. Like, oh,
Look,
and I think you
That's a
guys see
good
that
idea.
moment where I was like,
we
Yeah,
gave
Mike
them,
tried to
we
confirm.
gave them our full thoughts and prayers before we left.
yeah,
Right.
Tyga, you had
So
one more out the
I
door.
feel like we
already.
Hey,
Yeah.
hey, Calidor slammed his fist down and looked at them in the eye and was like, "Are you sure about this? Are you sure?"
Absolutely. No.
Yeah,
they were
Wes
like-
could see the DM and Mike going,
I
God
could.
damn it, I wrote for like set this up for like 2 hours.
It was less the writing than the setting up the scene, because you didn't
Mhm.
see how many guys were waiting for you. It just
Yeah.
again, it was good, and I wanted to give you guys more of a challenge than that first fight I gave you. But you guys outsmarted me again. Oh, you guys!
I think it worked out narratively though, where
It
it sort of made sense, you know. 'cause
And
it
they're
was-
responsible.
well, they were all like, "Go!" Like it, and then we kind of got the sense too that it was an overwhelming force
It was.
right away, and we're like, "Why would we stay? Like we're trying to escape. Like why would we?" You know, it didn't make sense narratively. So I think that
Absolutely.
also, and then everyone was sort of like, "Yeah, we should go." And Star was leaving, so it's like, "Yeah, let's get out of here."
Yeah. Like I said, I didn't consider that you guys would actually go, but narratively it did absolutely
Yeah.
work, because and you guys could see the struggle that even Revel was having leaving them behind, but they had a job to do, and that was to get you guys to safety. And
Right.
otherwise, if you guys had died, then what was this whole thing be for? What would it have been about? And you guys get to live. Well, most of you get to live to tell the tale.
Well, I will say that does narratively kind of add to Dana's backstory of why she was in the Knights and stuff too.
Yeah, what's up with that?
If she just blames all these magic users who showed up one day and then 2 hours later, her parents are on fire.
She didn't blame the magic user. She blamed the knights and the mysterious figure that showed up because she witnessed the entire thing. She wasn't fighting. They weren't fighting the magic users. They were fighting an overwhelming force of knights, guard captains, and then this shadowy figure that just brought the pain. That seemed to be looking for not only you guys but for them as well. Didn't really get into that too much, but like I said, not when writing Gemma's backstory, this was also kind of writing Dana's backstory, but it does raise more questions as to like if she saw these people killing her parents, what is her deal with joining the actual Demarian forces, which we
saboteur, double agent.
My idea there, which I was trying to allude to, is that she might just blame the people that led to this ruin. Not necessarily the people that were just following. They were just following orders, Mike.
No, she was brighter than that, and I think that even given her age too, she would have known that, because she even says that she's like, I can't do the things mommy and daddy can or could do. So she was very aware of that, and part of the backstory was growing up, she would make sure that Gemma was also kept in check with her magic powers for fear of the same thing happening to her.
It brought more fear into them, and even like what you said with Grandma Mina and everything, just like they were always kind of scared of repercussions, but after that attack and that huge event, their own family being destroyed and everything being ripped apart, it's like, no, this is for real. We cannot use magic at all.
Literally too close to home, and it was just,
this has to stop. We have to lock this down.
And part Gideon was like a master illusionist. They were both very high level spellcasters, and Gideon being an illusionist probably helped them hide a lot of that. But now that they were gone, it was just them, and she probably wasn't strong enough to protect everyone in that respect.
They would just always use that really good spell that can disguise like 8 people.
Seeming?
Yeah, seeming.
That damn spell when you used it in our wild campaign.
In this campaign too, like I said, they were both high level casters. The reason for them having this like overwhelming force is that they were basically tapped by the time Mavix arrived at the tavern. So in a last ditch effort to just eliminate everyone that was following you guys, they made this like sort of ultimate sacrifice. There was no other way out, and it was, like I said, too close to home. So we got to see Kara revealing her Azamar blood, her Azamar sort of race, and amplify her powers in order to cause that great explosion and killed her parents, man. I knew that was coming. That's why Gemma and Dana are doing what they're doing. So
I got even a little emotional too during that. I think affected even me noticing that, like, these characters mean a lot to you. And and it's a big emotional moment too, especially just knowing like Gemma was there and Dana was there, and seeing that she was like watching it and all. It was just like, it hit home, because it's like, we know the history, we know the history there.
I think being a father too just kind of made me sensitive to that sort of thing as well. Just the separation of the finality of it, the parents being separated from them. And that's why, like, when Kara was giving her the cloak and saying their goodbyes, like, she almost knew that it was going to happen. And but there's not a lot of time to say goodbye because they're coming.
They have to get out.
It's inevitable. I got a little attached. Even writing it too, I was just like, oh man, this sucks. Killing everybody. God, it sucks.
I will say I love the image I was getting in my mind's eye of like Gideon like kind of kneeling down and like going through his spell book and then casting spells was awesome. And then just like the shield around them, and like Hera just like holding it back with like her wings out, and then just like all their weapons and like the cracks in the shield that were like developing and then it breaking, and then the spear through the shield right through them was just like devastating.
Yeah, it's just eventually became too much. Then they got overwhelmed.
And we were all just like, wow, that sucks.
I got so we're
no, but it played narratively to where, you know, it fit into the story of the broader campaign. You know?
I think the running joke was that we can't save Gemma's parents because then she's gonna fade away like Marty McFly or something.
From Back to the Future, she's just gonna fade away when we get back.
She has her happy family.
Just football carried Gemma to the teleportation circle.
Did you
with us, tiny Gemma?
Did you base what happened to her? Maybe not like the end where they died, but like the whole story of them in Veiled Threats. Did you base that off of Wes's reveal to Gemma when she learned about her parents, or was that something that you, Mike, had determined like way back when?
It was Gemma's backstory. And when we had talked about doing the long shot, I was like, oh man, let's throw this at them as a sort of like an opportunity to again show the lore of the anti-magic sentiments, anti-magic sentiments that were going in the Empire, but also to show more of Gemma's backstory, like what actually happened, and kind of lead into more about her and Dana, like whatever Dana's up to, and possibly now in the future what's going to happen to the survivors and what's going to happen with that. But yes, good question though, because
that's a great question.
It was always a thing that we never got to really explore. And when Wes had mentioned it too, when Adamar was explaining it, he did such a good job, like talking about like, they just stopped communicating because there was no way for we don't know where that went, or he doesn't know where that went or what exactly happened. So I don't know. I think it all fits really well together.
Yeah, I mean, that whole story, that's all Mike. That's based on his backstory and everything. And with Adamar revealing that was sort of just Mike knew, but Gemma didn't know, and so that was sort of reiterating that back to her, so she kind of knew the truth, and then we get to see that played out through this. It's kind of cool. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, so they
you guys kind of just fucked off into the woods.
I was having kind of a hard time trying to figure out how to segue to and also fill in the gaps between how are we going to go from the tavern straight to the teleportation circle. There's not a lot to tell in between just road travel or forest travel. Obviously, you guys were having a little bit harder of a time leaving because of the people were actually after you. But a lot of it is just, we get to point A to B and camp, and then to the next point and camp and stuff like that. So when you guys escaped, and I'm only saying this for me because like the part that I really liked about it was Star, when Revel was asking Star about who the agent was, which we should go back to because I wanted to get your thoughts on that. And where did she come from and what are they going to do? And Star, like, just kind of at that point losing her composure. This woman who was like all business and seemingly strong up until that point, she just saw her best friends die. She is being hunted, and now she has to take care of all these people. She still has something else to do, this thing to do, and she just loses it for a minute, Revel threatens Vestel, and she just kind of gets out of her mind and decks him, and they get into this sort of all is lost moment where they're having this infighting, and Star is just trying to keep it together. And for me, because Star just ended up being one of my favorite NPCs, I thought that was I enjoyed that moment because it kind of showed her vulnerability. This abjurationist wizard who is charged with protecting all these people, she is at her breaking point at this, at that moment. So like I said, that was more for me. I just wanted to mention it because I enjoyed that part of that character.
Gotcha. No, yeah, that's something we haven't brought enough attention to is Revel. Great character. Love him.
Yeah, you like Revel.
Yeah. Such a little asshole. But
One with the wolf.
And what was that?
What?
Revel had Loki.
No, that was Seraphina. She was
Seraphina had Loki.
But Revel was the one that brought Calidor in. He was kind of like, and when I was writing this too, some of the different characters, this was all going to be much more flat than it actually ended up being. Because when we first started being, how are we going to get you guys out of the Empire? It was going to be, oh, you guys just get in a cart and then go here and then to the teleportation circle. But you needed somebody who was in charge. You needed the guy that did all the dirty work. You needed people who were in charge. And Revel was the guy that did all the dirty work. And he had motivations to be not only angry but be against the Empire. Obviously, with the stuff that we learned through his backstory.
A regular old Han Solo.
I thought it was great because I made him a halfling because then he would do all of these things that made it look like a kid who was being really seedy or drinking or wanting to stab these people and swearing and I don't know. I thought it was, dude. He's a
great little halfling character. I like halfling characters that have a little more, grit or depth to them.
They're not all like, oh, let's.
They're not just hobbits.
Yeah, exactly. And I really wanted to project his meanness at Vestel because, of course, he, being a cleric of Tidar, he of course blamed her or roped her in that blame of his sister dying. And again, we don't find that out until later on. Skipping back though, what were your all's initial thoughts after everything was happening with Kara and Gideon fighting the forces, seeing the mysterious figure? Because I don't think we ever alluded to that up until right before it happened, where they were saying, oh, Grandma Mina has seen something coming for them, but they don't know what. And then finally you kind of just see it appear and ultimately be part of their death.
Am I crazy, or were there two mysterious figures? It sounded like there was one that came in first that had black curly hair. That was the one that I didn't roll for, that I thought was maybe Anton. And then there was the other one that came in that had the actual hammer.
So that you're right. Those are two separate people.
Okay.
The one that you thought was Anton was part of the fight that you guys skipped.
That would have been so good if it was Anton.
Right.
But there is, I can see the confusion there, but the main central figure with the red eyes, the feral one with the maul and the silhouette, that was all one.
Correct. Yeah. The one that actually survived Kara's explosion, the one that stared at Tygon before they left. That being, and I wanted to point this out, Tygon saw her because he has a ridiculous passive perception. I was kind of comparing yours, and then when I got to Tygon, I was like, oh, okay, well, he sees that.
He's the one
he's the one that's going to see that. And then you started asking, why did it look at Tygon? And I'm like, okay, well, I can totally use that. And I did, because Tygon, up until that point, which, Justin, seriously, really well done playing your character, just a total asshole. Even the part in the tavern was probably one of my favorite parts ever playing D&D. I can't stop laughing how you were just yeah, sure. Yeah, you're going to cut my throat.
Playing a
but
bad guy is really fun.
oh, I know, and it's
Really
hard to
fun.
You're
do.
good at it. You're good
Yeah,
at it.
it's hard to do in a party, but it was a perfect opportunity because you could either make or break the success of the party, and it was just short enough to not be devastating for the party, or it could have, and we'll get to that part later. But
I still have a lot of questions that we're going to get to.
But I definitely, because of your eye contact and what Wes had said, that really led me down a path. I was like, how can I use this? How can I exploit what Talkin is all about in order to make that more interesting? And you, man, again, you did not disappoint.
You took the bait.
Is that when you added
It
in the visions and stuff? Did you add that in after the fact?
His dreams.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it was so easy.
That's what he's saying. Yeah.
Because
no, but
giving him.
Did you add that? Did you have that planned initially, or did you add that in after the whole?
No, I didn't. It was a combination between him having the passive perception, you saying that, but ultimately too, if you remember when you guys were trying to see what Vestel was doing, Talkin actually succeeded in his role. You didn't, Caldor, but Talkin saw and heard everything, and got really, really interested in it. And
right.
Like Justin said, he took the bait, and it was delicious. It worked out so well.
I did love Justin coming down every morning. Oh man, he looks real raggedy. You guys asking him questions and him just going, "Nah, everything's fine."
The roles, when I was rewatching the episode, those roles could not have been more perfect, because Vestel rolls 2 nat 20s and Caldor rolls really high.
We literally know the truth.
we know
no. No, you don't.
He rolls a deception.
You don't know.
But we do know. But whatever.
Yeah.
Oh man, those roles could not have been any better. That's what's great, is like those unplanned things that happen that make all of that happen.
That's what makes this game so great.
Oh my god.
Yeah, even with the one shot that's kind of pretty on rails, you guys still found a lot of good moments.
He's like, oh, what, that useless
there, throw things off,
useless artifact. I'm like, oh my god, roll a deception check, because I know.
My deception checks would have blown you guys out of the water.
Caldor. He when I was like, you better roll high, it's because he rolled a nat 20.
Crazy.
Really good. Yeah. So, you said 2 figures. The bad guy. Was there anything going through your all's heads about the dark
back to that, about that figure? But to Hannah and Justin, because
it's like, great, because Wes knows.
I know a little bit about
honestly,
that.
I was being thick about it. I just did not understand. I didn't know what was happening. I was being thick. I was like, is there a monster that I can see? Like, I wasn't really getting my head around what was happening until
you even said, like,
I started having dreams.
Was that a monster? Did you see the
yeah? All right, who invited the dog?
Yeah.
I think as players, you guys may have had opinions, but only Caldor, Talkin had only mentioned it to you guys, and you thought he was acting crazy. So I don't even know if Vestel or Caldor really had an idea of what was. Well, you guys saw the thing coming into the to the tavern to fight.
Karen. And fighting and breaking the shield, but I didn't. Yeah, I don't think Caldor sort of
understood.
Put too much thought into it. Was sort of just like part of the chaos,
Mm-hmm.
That figure looks strong, but it's just one of the knights or something.
Buff looking dude or lady.
What about Vestel? Did you have any opinions as far as the Dark Agent?
At like that point in the story.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I guess right after
Because it's
you know.
revealed at the end, right? So
Yeah.
Okay. I'm making sure I'm tracking the right person. No, I don't think there was anything in particular that, I mean, she knew it was someone strong. And I was like hearing boss music. The fact that someone like that showed up and they're killing Gemma's parents, I was like, uh-oh, this is going to come back to bite some butt.
This is going to come back. And you weren't wrong. Gotcha. Yeah, so you guys were running. Go ahead.
Going back to where we were, we reached the area in the forest, the teleportation.
Well, there was some camping going on. You had mentioned Tygon's dreams. This was also, I wanted to mention a good opportunity to also go into a little bit more of Caldor as well, and also Vistel. Like, of course, with Tygon, I was baiting him up until you guys got into the teleportation circle. Caldor, I wanted to give him an opportunity to show that his character was just ready to learn outside of the Empire. He had these people who were willing to teach him, and hey, you can pick this up. I know you can pick this up. Hey, here are some spells. Just something that maybe he didn't have an opportunity to do while he was in New Domar. You were stealing or finding these things, but trying to figure it out yourself, I think, is how your backstory went.
Yeah, and just since we're talking about everything, let's lay it all on the table. Calidor's backstory is, you heard a little bit about his mother. She was actually a necromancer, but that was during the time where all schools of magic were sort of respected. She wasn't evil; she just practiced necromancy.
Do the Rush song.
Yeah, and his mother was an elf. He never knew his father. But then the Empire happened, and then Calidor was born, and she kind of hid a lot of her material away, but he would sometimes find it, pick it up. He was curious. He was very intelligent. He'd pick it up and start learning. And one day he was caught practicing magic out in the city streets, and the Empire tracked them back to his house and hung his mother.
Illusions, Wes. Tricks of our hearts. Illusions in the streets.
And so he took to the streets, escaping, running away, and learning how to survive on the city streets, becoming kind of a criminal, but never losing that intrigue and interest in magic. And so he started to almost become like this little secret part of him, to where he would, on his jobs, he'd steal from like rich people. He'd go in using illusion.
Give to the needy?
Well, he'd get paid to steal jewels and things, but he'd go into rich people's homes and find that they had stashed magic items or magic scrolls and things, and he would steal those and not tell anyone, and then just teach himself about magic, and do that in the sewers. So that's a little bit about his backstory. I forget what I was getting to. I was trying to lead back into what you said.
Well, Mike. Your intelligence, your character's intelligence was your best stat, undoubtedly, and then having learned what you did from Gideon, and then even from Star, it was a good opportunity to just kind of lean into that, like give you more and show how your character's aptitude for learning magic. It was not all about destruction. It was
it was like the first time that he was able to just like, I can do this in front of other people. Like, I can look at these scrolls and study them and write these down. So he was excited, the fact that he got to do this in front of other people, which has always been a secret part of himself for so long.
It sounds like we need a prequel to the prequel where it's Calidor's heist.
Oh man,
goes wrong. Calidor's. No one told me there'd be magic items here.
The right one for Willa, Calidor, and Tygon.
If there was one part of Calidor's story that would be interesting, not that I ever want you to actually play this out, but he actually ended up he got sucked into the Shadowfell for it was like 6 months, and he couldn't escape, which is the plane of shadows. And he learned more about magic there, and there's a whole backstory going on, but he like had to escape the plane of shadows, and that actually left a mark on him too, where he got some of that magic that played into his character. But
Is that why he's so
Is that why he looked so haggard?
part of it, he's always sort of like a kind of a nerdy, skinny kid, but that definitely left scars on him and his soul.
You guys make characters. You're going into the Shadowfell. next launch.
I mean, all these characters could have been in an emo band.
Even, yeah, see that.
Just angst.
I got would have been the drummer.
I call drummer.
Does he use his tail to do the double bass?
I never used the tail, did I?
No.
I never used it to pick my teeth.
Using your tail while you're.
I mean, tiefling tails aren't like super prehensile, are they? They're not like monkey tails.
It's what you make it.
Yeah.
Was Tygon's tail out, or did he tuck it away into his pants?
He was a tucker.
He's a
tucker.
I figured
a third leg. Yeah.
Your one ass cheek looks way bigger.
Wrapped around one leg,
Yeah.
One leg.
And I also, so anyways, going back to Calidor, giving him that opportunity to learn magic, it also gave me an opportunity to teach you the teleportation spell just in case something very, very wrong happened with Star.
Yeah.
There was a good opportunity for that, and that's a good thing. The thing that Calidor represented in this whole thing for me was the kind of person that they were trying to save. These magic users, these people who are just wanting to learn and just, being what they are. They're curious, they're thirsty for knowledge, and they're not all bad people. So also we gave Calidor a little bit of a quest later on, as far as, hey, if you can come back and find the girl Gemma, maybe give this to her from her mother, sort of thing. And I don't know, maybe that'll be something that we see later on. If Calidor is he though? I don't know. Maybe he dies. He just dies after the teleportation.
He got teleported somewhere else, like Vestel goes somewhere safe. He got teleported like into
back to New
Does teleportation work? Is it like does it just rebuild them in a different area? Is it a different being?
Not like a Star Trek teleportation.
Right. It's not.
I would never use Star Trek teleporters.
And after that, on the way to the teleportation circle, we also had that moment it happened before the Calidor stuff. That night that they first camped out between Star and Vestel.
Gotta talk about that
again. Yeah. One of my favorite moments in the campaign, because again, for Star, it just sort of showed her like her vulnerable side up until that point. That's.
I think for Vestel, it kind of showed more of her adventurous side too, because she's very grew up in a very strict noble home. She went to the temple. She had a very set lifestyle. So for her to have changed that much within, I don't know, how long had it been? Like a week or two?
At least a week and a half. Week to Halcyon, and then at that point it was maybe a week, just over a week, because it was the day, that night that they died is when you guys were camping out, because you guys were still reeling over what happened.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Just shows how much of an impact it was.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
That was a big surprise. It was a cool moment though.
I admittedly
It passed the Bechdel test.
I don't know what that is. I admittedly had approached Hannah about it prior to the.
I was wondering if you had any idea about that.
I didn't actually know how it was going to turn out, but I did want to be respectful and ask her if it was okay that hey, this is probably going to happen should the opportunity arise. I just want you to know you don't have to answer me as far as what is going to happen, but wanted to make sure that it was cool with her if she or well, mostly if she or would have gotten offended because Vestel was going to react how she was going to react.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, that was much appreciated. And I wasn't really sure. I had been like stewing on it for a while, trying to think like, oh, what would Vestel do? What would Vestel do? But I think through what really helped was throughout that episode, we kind of build the tension and their relationship a bit more. So that kind of led to what happened. I think like it all kind of made sense in the end.
Yeah.
Because at this point we're already in episode 3, which
yeah. I feel
a lot
too
happening.
through first to second to third episode, there are a lot of moments where Vestel just poured a lot of trust into Star for this thing. Being a magic user, I felt that Vestel really I don't want to use the word attached herself to Star, but trusted her to get her to where she needed to go. And through other reasons that you guys don't know because nobody asked what Star's deal was, there was sort of, I guess Vestel kind of reminded her of her late wife. And
oh shit.
yeah, so in this moment of vulnerability, she just what she said, she felt safe around you, and she was more of the fact comforted by your presence than anything, because she was just at a weak point in the story, and I think that really helped her push through the rest of what she had to, because she could confide in someone. She couldn't talk to Rebel. She didn't know any of these other people, and just needed a safe place. And it seemed right. It seemed like a good moment to kind of establish where they were at that point in order to move forward.
Yeah.
So really, again, thank you for the way that you played it. It would have played out fine either way. However, Vestel would have reacted, but it was just for me, it was such a sweet moment the way it did. And I really enjoyed it for our characters.
Yeah, I think it worked out well. I think it worked out really well.
Yeah, Hannah, you played it like you had no idea. Like you did play.
I don't think she had any idea.
It was a good.
She knew it was
banter.
coming.
Yeah. The banter was awkward and it was great. It was just like, it almost felt natural. Just kind of like
it was so good.
Like it wasn't supposed to happen. No, I'm sorry. No, it's fine. And it's I don't know. I think we sort of captured the moment that I was
played really well. It played really well.
Awesome. I considered saying thank you after the kiss, and I was like, well, maybe that would be too awkward.
Maybe not. Yeah. Thank you.
That's like high school levels. So.
Right.
Leave that to Asher and Sarah.
Or is this?
Which leading up to getting to the teleportation circle, man, I gotta say, it was really, really hard killing all of my characters, man.
You didn't have to.
I didn't have to, but I had to.
You even killed the dog.
That was unintentional. For the record, I forgot to
forgot his turn.
I put all the bad guys in turn order and didn't put any of your all's allies, including Loki. So it was just a good boy, and got to watch his
Loki. Poor Loki.
Yeah, you were getting some big hits in on.
Yeah, let's get to that fight. So we get there and we're starting to activate the teleportation circle and they show up. So Brother Lucas betrayed us.
Yeah.
That motherfucker.
And I don't know if you guys had realized, I was trying to drop little hints through the entire. He was always going to betray you.
I thought he was possessed or something. That's what I thought was happening.
I thought so at first. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Well, not so much possessed as, and I guess I can just give it up because nobody figured it out. He was absolutely charmed. He was under the influence of a very, very powerful Gaius spell, which caused him to, if you guys remember anything about Brother Lucas, because I dropped it a few times, is that he was taken in for reconditioning. Being a cleric of Coraline, he was suddenly given this second chance after defending his arcane brother. And throughout the entire thing, I was saying, oh, people defending people or even commoners or other magic users, they would just be executed on the spot. But for some reason, Brother Lucas was spared. He came out showing mental and physical signs of that, scars rather, and almost to kind of hide the fact that he was being influenced. Well, I mean, that actually happened. Like he was physically and mentally scarred, but I don't know, that was also to help narratively to kind of lower his suspicion, so that you guys would be like, oh, he's just a harmless dude. He's just some timid guy. But you know, the butler did it. You know, so
It was the butler.
It was the butler. Yeah, it was a very powerful Gaia spell that helped him pass all of the interrogation stuff. He was actually one of the people that would cast the Zone of Truths, and didn't raise any suspicion due to his sort of backstory, his history with that even Distel knew or had heard of rumors of, that, you know, he was taken in reconditioning, but he came back seemingly okay. And even that morning when you guys were after Tygon's first dream, and Star was like, hey, where's Brother Lucas? And Rebel's like, oh, are you off taking a shit? You know, that was possibly one of the moments where Brother Lucas was maybe ducking away to tell Agent Mavix where you guys were or where you were going.
Who? So,
Dark Agent Mavix, Charlie.
No, I know. I'm transitioning.
Right.
To the reveal.
Yeah, it wasn't as heavy as I wanted it to be, but I tried to see in sort of a bits of hints or of suspicion for Brother Lucas that maybe, and again, nobody asked him, nobody questioned it, which was also like, it was good for me, but we really didn't have an opportunity to see like, oh, who was actually betraying it. I tried to lean heavily in people trying to blame Distel. Obviously, Rebel had no trust for Distel, but nobody really even asked. Like, Tygon was evil. For all you guys could have known that, I would have had a conversation with Justin on the side about like, hey, you're going to betray them because you're a dick. But again, nobody asked, so it worked out. But I didn't.
I thought he was just an asshole.
Well, he was. That was him.
So the thing with Tygon is that he was totally opportunistic. So he wasn't planning on betraying anybody until he felt the wind blowing. He was like, "Oh, wait a second!
A new
opportunity. I think that this powerful being may actually win this battle." So the whole time he was trying to hedge, like kind of fight. Just kind of to pick off a couple weak guys, but like not really do much else or make too much of an impact, because he was trying to see like, how am I going to get that damn siphon? Am I going to wait for him to get killed or knocked down? I was even going to like trick you at one point and like use thaumaturgy to make it sound like the girls, Dana and Gemma, were trapped under some rubble in the ruins, and they were going to be screaming for help, and then like somehow I was going to use the diversion to steal the. Like the whole time I was just plotting and scheming and waiting to see what would happen.
That's amazing.
When I was trying to bait you, I considered, especially after you guys skipping the fight, I'd considered, oh man, Tygon might actually try to steal the siphon. I'm just gonna have to kill him. That's why Star said that. She's like, well, if he tries to take it, I'm just gonna kill him.
I would have loved an alternate timeline of Tygon getting the siphon and then escaping by himself.
All you had to do was take it from Distel, man.
That would have been
like,
really crazy.
You're like, how do I get the siphon? I'm like, you just take it, you fool. Just grab it.
Justin was trying to be too smart about it. He couldn't just take it in the night. That's too easy.
Just take it. Just fucking take it.
Yeah. So Brother Lucas betraying you was always going to happen. And it was also, I felt like, a good way to eliminate to have a tragic end to these characters. From the first episode, man, Sarah and Asher, I had been building them up to be making these plans for the future and to like not suspect anything bad was going to happen. But I mean, of course, that means they're destined to die. And
They raised too many flags.
they died in the worst possible fucking way. So that was a little hard for me too, because I knew I was like, oh, why am I killing them? Like, no, I'm gonna have to kill them. Oh god, it's so good. Yeah, and I thought you guys might have cut him down, but you guys caught the fact that he was somehow influenced.
Yeah,
it was like, fuck it, fireball.
It was a little unclear, like he had betrayed us, but then it was sort of like, I think he's under a spell, but then he kind of wasn't, and I wasn't. Yeah, so that was unclear. And Calidor isn't one to be like, I'm gonna try and save lives. He's just gonna do what he can to get what he needs to do, or what he wants to do, which is to escape. So
always a chance he was gonna die too. I wanted to see what you guys were gonna do, and you played it perfectly. You're just like, fuck brother. I think those were your words. Fuck brother Lucas.
That slimy little bitch.
He happened to be in my way, right, of doing my attack. So he betrayed us. But then, Calidor got through, and then it was sort of like waiting on the other side, like doing the.
You got stuck there by yourself. Who knows where?
Doing the Pulp Fiction sort of.
Did Calidor even see Tygon's betrayal?
No, he didn't.
No.
Oh, right.
Yeah, because at that point, because he went in, and then Hannah slung the fireball at the Dark Agent.
Oh yeah, so Calidor didn't actually witness it.
Yeah.
Would Calidor believe Vestel if she told him all of that?
Oh wow!
Knowing that she's racist?
I was gonna say that it was probably gonna be one of the first questions that he was gonna ask you when Vestel came through and it closed. Like, where's everybody else? Oh, that dirty thief.
I think he'd probably have suspicions, but by the end he was also like, God, Talkin was really a dick. I tried to be friends with him, and he just did not reciprocate. So
good.
Right.
Maybe could have had a working relationship, but like friends, no.
Oh my god.
So that's really crazy to think too. Is Calidor kind of had to take a lot of your word on that, Vestel,
Right.
He's like, I can see that coming. Yeah, I bet. I can see that happening. He was always kind of a dick. I don't know if you know that.
Which canonically, I have fleshed out what has happened after that, or where they ended up.
Oh,
but
okay.
I will need to talk. I will need to talk to you all about some more details, because there is 10, 12 years to fill in there, so things can be altered. But the major, where you landed and stuff.
You feel violated, Mike, that your characters are now just being puppeteered by someone else?
Well, I haven't touched his characters. I'm talking about just
you guys.
and Calidor.
Yeah, his character.
Yeah.
Well, I'll just take this part 2 veiled threats and
who knows if Star survived the.
So that's the thing, though, is what happens to them after the fact. But I wanted to bring up Vestel's character again, just as far as like the whole thing leading up to that, her god had finally led her there, and that was part of some of the hard choices that she had to make, is that she followed this path and she had to choose whether or not to use what she knew about the siphon to save everybody, because the attack that Mavix was going to unleash was going to be devastating. And being so against magic, she had to figure out, like, is this something that I'm comfortable with? And she wouldn't be able to ask her god what to do at that point. She had to decide for herself.
Yeah.
Right.
Now, let me be clear. I only have where they ended up. I don't know anything about Vestel's story, just where they landed, where that teleportation circle took them, and then sort of.
Well, it's fine. No, it's good.
No, I just don't want anyone to think that I like stole anyone's story.
Yeah.
But I developed Calidor after. I don't know. I have no idea what happens with Vestel and the artifact. We should figure that out.
We'll have a talk about that. But anyways, what I was saying is I really appreciated Vestel's character arc up until that point, because you had played it how you were going to play Vestel and then ended up in this other place, which even up until the very end, when you were just like holding your hand out to Star, like, let's go together, let's go escape together. And
I know, so sad.
There's this moment of realization, and I could see it on the stream, some of your faces, you were just like, oh my god, she actually can't, she has to stay behind so that they can't follow her. And now, like, at that point, Vestel had also lost somebody in her journey, because of everything that was happening. And I thought that was just good
Tygon
punctuation at the end. Well, she really got out what she needed to about Tygon, and the little exchange at the end, like, well, I passed. Hellish Rebuke, so second level, you did. That was really good. But
it's also kind of wild. The Dark Agent just completely used him and tossed him aside and planned on killing him anyway.
Yeah, it was
crazy end to that. Just like killed him.
Yeah. I did again want to say that that moment, putting a lot of trust in Vestel to play it the way that she did, was really awesome. I really, really appreciate it, because I think it made her character arc and the end of the campaign, or the long shot, really kind of worth it, as far as where all of that was going, because then we also have the siphon to deal with at the end, because you actually made it. And the thing with Tygon, she killed you because you didn't get the siphon, and she completely used you. She was like Brother Lucas, he was trying to skate. She grabbed him by the throat and tossed him aside too. And I just thought it was going to be really cool to crush your throat, and kind of like the karma you deserve. Yeah, exactly.
For it.
It is kind of
his backstory is pretty. He's not a good guy.
Can you tell us, now that he's dead, some more about that?
Yeah, we did roll death saving throws after the stream. It was 2 and 2. It was 2 and 2.
So before let's set this up. When the stream ended, we did decide to roll. Mike said, let's roll death saving throws. And it went success, failure, success, failure. So then we were at 2 and 2. And then it was down to one more roll, and you rolled below a 10, and that was a death for Tygon. And so Tygon officially died. But can you tell us some of the mysterious Tygon? Give us some of his backstory. You kind of gave a little bit of hints of the he took over a town. He was looking for a new town to take over. He was looking for people to sort of control, but what would he have done if some of his backstory?
Herb type.
What would he have done if he had lived?
Yeah. Well, so Tygon's family, for generations, as far back as anyone can remember, had lived. His last name is Opond because they lived on this big pond in this big house that was kind of overlooked a village, and they had magic powers, but it had been bestowed upon them by this evil nymph who lived in the pond. And the way that they paid for these powers was that every year someone would have to lure someone into the pond and then drown them into the pond pond. So the reason that Tygon became a bard in the first place was so he could lure people with his songs towards the pond.
So he was a siren.
Bard. He was a siren.
His family members would then seize the victim and drown them in the pool. And they thought that it was worth it.
I was
because they had so much power.
Fun for the blood god.
He was used to being in power, exactly, and just felt like, well, I'm going to figure out some other way. And so once he got the siphon in his brain. He realized, okay, this is my meal ticket here.
At first, I was like, I don't exactly think he gets the spirit of what I'm trying to do here. And then I was like, how can okay, I can use it this way, which, again, with Caldor and Estelle, Tygon just represented another aspect of the whole story. You know, it's these magic users who you should be afraid of, and everything that Tygon is just the type of magic user that the Empire warns against, the people that they should be afraid of, the people that do use their magic for evil, as opposed to someone like juxtaposing against like someone like Gemma, who is this incredibly powerful magic user, but doesn't even want to use it to hurt people. And I thought it was a very good contrast, because they need to save all the magic users, but Tygon, God, it's just this gray area.
We're the
It's
reason
not
why
that gray after
things.
hearing that story.
You're the reason what?
Yeah. We're the reason you can't have nice things in the Empire, because people like the Opans.
But just having all three of you together was just a great contrast.
The three was a great blend, because Caldor is very neutral. You know, he was very much just trying to. He'd do whatever it took, but he's not going to go out of his way to harm anyone, and he's not going to go out of his way to do any good. Estelle, very much like a cleric of light, you know. And then you had this pretty evil tiefling who would lure in people to drown them for power. That's pretty evil. So
the whole spectrum.
I think there's a good spectrum there.
We're peasants. To be fair, they were just peasants.
Yeah, we heard that, Tyga. We heard that, Tyga. Yes. Filthy teeth.
That makes it okay.
When he went up to Mavix and started giving her bardic inspiration, and Hannah just being like, "You filthy teeth!" Like, whoa, oh my god. Okay,
You wanted to say Almighty.
It was so good. Yeah.
Overall, a pretty good one-shot, multi-shot, long shot.
There's also a moment after the portal closes that we find out that Star is actually an Azamar, too. She was hiding. She was kind of like projecting herself or coming across as sort of like a half elf, but it was also another aspect of herself that she was keeping locked in and hidden from not just the Empire, but from you guys as well. Depending on what we find out about what happened to Star, that may or may not come back up again. But her fighting another, we also see that Mavix at the end, during their final confrontation, after she kills Tygon, she rips herself out of the web, is horribly scarred from the radiant light of Estelle's attack. She unleashes her full being, her rage and her anger, and unleashes the skeletal wings of a fallen Azamar. But still, what the fuck is she? So I thought that was a little self-indulgent too, just having this really awesome epic celestial versus unholy battle at the end. That Fiend, that you don't really get to see it. It's like the camera goes black, so we don't know what happened. But what the hell is Mavix, and what of her too? So
my theory is Star is Gemma's aunt. Right? You got all these Asimers. Maybe
I don't know.
Maybe Mavix is as well.
Mavix is Dark Asimir.
Yeah.
Something. So definitely alluding to something like that, but we just don't know the whole story behind it.
Mike and I have a little bit of talking to do about some of that stuff.
Oh, sorry.
No. Just saying, you gotta tell me about Star and everything after.
Oh, that, yeah. I do have to I do owe you some
and the forces of evil
stuff. Yeah.
But Mike and I have collaborated on some things on this, and I can give a little bit of a tease. The Dark Agents. What is Mavix? We're not sure, but the Dark Agents, we can reveal, are sort of
the Sith Inquisitors of Terramir.
They're sort of
just compare something to Star Wars, but
they are
a lot of Star Wars.
Sort of directly under the Emperor, and they have sort of free reign outside of the military to do what's necessary. And there's a lot that comes with that. And we'll probably see more of that. Maybe. We'll see. But there is some more going on there for sure. But Mavis is one of such dark agents, and perhaps we'll see her again. We don't know.
Whatever was going on with the tunnel of liberation was important enough to send her. That's I think why she was pivotal in this, is because she was after something as big as the tunnel of liberation to help these magic users escape, and so they sent her.
Yeah.
Did any of the NPCs say that they had recognized her? I don't remember if they did.
There was an allusion to when you guys were escaping the tavern, that the magic users were kind of going over, like, is it the one that Grandma Mina saw in her visions? We don't know. And they had been, like, it was apparent, it wasn't apparent, but back and forth talk between the Ashen Lights and Revel and Star that Grandma Mina had seen some sort of dark figure moving towards them. They don't know if it's real or not because of prophetic visions, but there's a lot of them coming, so we'll see what happens. Admittedly, there was a lot to cram into this, and there were a lot of things that I kind of glossed over. It was hard to keep everything together, but that was like my quick way of sort of introducing her before she actually showed up at the tavern. But that was the only mention of her up until that point, and then when she met you guys at the teleportation circle.
Right.
Gotcha.
I'm excited. Yeah. I mean, it was a good ending there.
I've praised you off camera for this, but I mean, on camera, phenomenal writing. Phenomenal.
Thanks, man.
The dialogue and the plots and the way the characters are weaving together is really, really impressive.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
It was awesome.
Can't wait to do it again. It was an honor, though. You guys are really great players, and like I said before, it would have been a lot more flat if it wasn't for you guys. Playing off of what you guys were doing really helped drive everything from the first, second, and third act forward. Clearly, especially with all the other stuff that you guys were doing, so, like the betrayal or just the jokes that you were doing too in the tavern. Really good stuff. And some of the little actions that you guys did throughout just really helped flesh out the other NPCs as well, I think. So I'm glad. Also, I wanted to say this too. I'm glad Revel sort of had this coming back around moment when he found out that Brother Lucas was the actual person that betrayed them, and that he was at Evistel, like, oh man, my bad. And he dies. But I am excited to see what's in store for Caldor and Vestel. Hopefully, maybe, because I mean, it's only been 10 to 12 years, so there's a very good possibility that they're somewhere in Terramir, I believe. I was gonna say that Tygon might have been in the second long shot. Like, you guys are gonna have a long shot where you had to deal with this crazy tiefling who had this tight fist over another innocent village, but that's not happening anymore because he's dead. But what else also is? What about Star? What happened to Star?
Yeah.
We don't really actually know.
We don't know.
There's still some loose threads.
Yes. Makes it enticing.
And there's more loose threads in our main campaign, which will be back next week, March 20th. I don't know how much more you guys have to say. I think we covered a lot of the campaign.
Yeah.
There. Felt like we were reaching a good wrapping up point.
Really?
I'll just say really. Go ahead, Mike.
Oh, I just wanted to also bring it back to, like, the whole point of being veiled threats was that it kind of represented the kind of the dangers behind the Empire's protection, the implied powers of the arcs, and sort of also played into a lot of the betrayals that happened throughout the actual story, and that's why I had titled it Veiled Threats, because there was a lot of that going on. So
it's a great title. Makes sense. And just excited to get back to the main campaign. See where maybe this ties in, maybe, and just all the other things we have going on, plus a whole new land to explore and other things to wrap up, and it's all really exciting.
You gotta save Saba Mill. And we're level 12, right? We're level 12?
Yeah, level 20.
Yeah.
And we're rich. We're good looking.
Good looking. Yes.
But yeah, that has been our recap episode for Mike Doanes's own Veiled Threats, a Tales of Terramir story. We'll be back to our normally scheduled games and campaign next week in Tales of Terramir proper. West will be back in the driving seat, and we'll see what he's been cooking for the last month and a half or more. I forget how long it's been since we played that. So Wednesday, March 20th, we start streaming at 8 p.m. Eastern time and usually go for about 2.5 hours. This episode and any other episodes of both Veiled Threats and Tales of Terramir main feed, like I said, can be found on YouTube, and recordings of it can be found on your podcast apps too. If you liked what you saw tonight and are interested, go check all that stuff out. We're also on pretty much every social media platform except the one that shan't be named, under Tales of Terramir, all lowercase. And yeah, that's pretty much where we'll leave it for tonight. So thanks for watching. I think
thanks, everyone.
I had a good time. Hope everyone here had a good time. Yeah.
Thank you,
thanks,
Mike.
Dan, in the background.
Thank you to Daniel.
He gets to Gremlin today. And yeah, night, y'all.